Happy Tuesday, loves. So we are now on day 9. How do I know if I'm a people pleaser? This is a juicy topic. I really want to know what you guys feel, what you guys think. Make sure to type it in the comments, even if this is a replay that you're watching. So I'm going to talk about some ways to identify whether you're a people pleaser. And I want you to know that as you're watching this video, it is coming from not a judgmental place. Actually, let's start with that. I want to acknowledge you if you do tend to relate to some of these things that I'm about to share. I was a people pleaser, and sometimes I still catch myself falling into those tendencies. And usually the first thing that we tend to do when we notice things like that is shame. We tend to experience guilt and we tend to experience shame. So before you start going down the rabbit hole of experiencing shame and feeling embarrassed, I want you to know that if you do relate to any of these traits, you are definitely not alone. Hey, Yaya. So please make sure to type in the comments what your thoughts are on people pleasing. Do you happen to identify as a person, maybe in the past, maybe it's something that you've already worked through, or maybe it's something you're working through now. I know I'm human, and sometimes I have to catch myself and reel it back in. So let's get started, because you know me, I could go on and on. So I have my notes here. So some of the tips. Do you tend to feel like, oh, hi, Linda. Thank you for hopping in and joining me. Do you tend to feel like a doormat? Do you tend to feel walked all over? Notice that. Notice there is a difference between being nice and starting to feel like you're being taken advantage of. So take notice, observe it. And by the way, any of these tips that I'm talking about, try as much as you can to observe it and not be judgmental or harsh on yourself about it. Hi, Lakshmi. Hi, Colin. Thank you guys for tuning in. Do you worry about hurting other people's feelings? Do you tend to notice you're really overly considerate of the other person or other people? Are you afraid of letting those people down or disappointing them? Which is also, I was going to mention this later on, but I might as well bring it up since I thought about it. If you worry about letting other people down, other people will also tend to know that they can always rely on you because they know that you won't let them down. So that's also another way to take notice of whether you're a people pleaser. Do you ever notice that you tend to not give yourself enough credit, or others kind of end up giving credit for you, or you prefer to talk about other people rather than talk about yourself? I notice that it's interesting. I love promoting other people's stuff. When I meet new people, I love talking about them. I don't really care too much about talking about myself. I know it may seem that way because of social media, and if it does, hopefully I clear that up. I do a lot of this for social media. But if it were up to me, I would just stay in pajamas and stay under my blanket and just be in bed all day. So being mindful of, do you tend to give other people, do other people tend to give you credit? Do you find yourself not being able to say, hey, this is me and this is what I do? And maybe you are able to do that now, but just taking note of it if that was something in your past. Do you tend to notice if you attract, hey, Clark, as you guys come in, feel free to type in the comments any thoughts that you have, because when I do these Facebook lives, I like it when people are interactive with me. Hi, Sandra. Do you notice that you tend to attract people who you feel, this is just interpretation, you feel like they need fixing, or that you need to rescue them, or you constantly need to save them? That can be a sign of being a people pleaser. Why? Because they, once again, going back to what I said earlier, they know they can depend on you. They know that you're reliable. They know that you won't let them down. My next one was, if you have a fear of letting other people down. Do you notice if you're constantly apologizing? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You know, and that's something that I do. That's why it's so easy for me to give you that example. You know, or I noticed that I'm sorry if it's an inconvenience to you, or just constantly apologizing. Do you notice that you rarely ask for or accept help? Do you notice that? Do you notice that you're that person that I can do this completely on my own? I don't need anybody. I don't need anybody's help. And it's not coming from, it doesn't necessarily, and I need to correct myself because that might have came off a little bit cocky. It doesn't necessarily have to come from a place of cockiness or overconfidence. It's just that you just don't want to expose or make yourself vulnerable. So it's just kind of like, no, I got this. I got this. You hate confrontation. You try to avoid people. If somebody's mad at you for something, or you have to face a hard decision, you try to stay away from them, because staying away from them avoids any kind of conflict. And if there's conflict, you don't like it because you're a people pleaser. And I'm not saying you as in you. I'm very guilty of this too. All of these things one of the reasons why I was so eager to discuss this topic is because this is something that I've had to work through avidly and time again. And not just when it came to friendships, but also when it comes to relationships. So let me see here. I think I mentioned a lot of these because they all kind of intertwine, but you can always be counted on for a favor. You always get your work done. You never miss deadlines. You pick up extra work sometimes because you don't know how to say no. So I hope that hey Jeff, I hope that these tips and these kind of identifiers give some guidance and clarity to whether or not you may be a people pleaser. And like I said, and I want to make sure I end on this note, if you happen to relate to any of these, please don't walk away from this conversation feeling any kind of shame or embarrassment or guilt, or feeling humility. I don't want you to feel any sort of unpleasant emotions. This conversation is really to gain clarity, because once you have awareness, and this is what I'm always telling my clients, once you have awareness, you can totally go from there. Then you can start to observe, start putting boundaries in place, start taking notice of when you say no and you mean yes, when you say yes and you really mean no. No is just as much of an answer as yes is. And sometimes us people pleasers, we have a hard time doing that because we don't want to let other people down. So if you found this conversation helpful, please make sure to type in the comments things that you found that were supportive, gave some clarity. And if you found that you related to a lot of the things, then please be sure to tune in to my next Facebook Live, because I'm going to be sharing some tips of things kind of piggybacking on this one. So now that you're aware of the identifiers, let's go from here and build on it. The next Facebook Live that I'm doing, I am going to start doing it on my Dani LeBerry page, as we are transitioning from Affinity Care into the Dani LeBerry page. I am asking you all, if you haven't already liked the page, to please like the page, because I'm moving away from the Affinity Care Counseling and Consulting page, Facebook page, and I'm moving into the Dani LeBerry Facebook page. Very exciting. So I'm looking to build that one up now. It's a little bit discouraging sometimes because I've had the Affinity one now for about 2.5 years, and that's the one that I've invested so much time and effort into. So now it feels a little bit like I'm starting over, but it's okay, right? That's life. So please be sure to make sure you follow the page. It's facebook.com/Dani LeBerry, which is my name, DaniLabarrie. The next Facebook Live video is going to be on that page. So you guys have a great Tuesday, and I will check you out at the next Facebook Live. Bye.